Did you know that there's a pineapple that weighs 33 pounds? This is one of the wildest food records that tastes like absolute madness. Welcome back, everyone. Here you're about to see the wildest food records that taste like madness. You won't believe some of these, so make sure to leave a like for more videos just like this one. Let's get started. First, we have to look at the heaviest pineapple ever recorded. It was way back in 1844 when a man named J.W. Long discovered this insane fruit. It was growing wild in Jamaica and weighed in at a whopping 33 pounds. That's heavier than most humans. If you were to cut it open, it would probably weigh even more. The pineapple was reportedly full of good juice too. It didn't go bad because of its weight, but it must have been pretty hard to carry around. I think I'd rather eat the lightest pineapple ever recorded instead. And luckily for me, we have a record for that too. The lightest pineapple ever recorded weighed in at just 2 ounces. To put that into perspective, that's lighter than an iPhone. But I guess pineapples can be super tiny if they want to be. I don't know how much the average pineapple weighs, but it can't be that heavy, right? Well, the heaviest bunch of grapes ever recorded probably makes you reconsider. This record-breaking bunch of grapes weighed in at a whopping 409 pounds. They were grown by Ivan and Margarita Aristova, and you can see just how massive they are in the picture. There's no way I could lift them up. I don't think there's a person on earth who could. If someone tried to eat all of these grapes, their stomach would explode. I mean, it might take a while, but eventually their stomach would give out. These grapes are likely the only thing keeping Ivan and Margarita from having six-packs. I wonder if anyone's tried selling these grapes. I imagine they'd sell for quite a lot of money, especially if they tasted good. But would you eat a grape that weighed almost half a pound? I personally wouldn't. It just doesn't seem normal. And speaking of things not being normal, just take a look at this egg. It may not look like much, but it's one of the strangest food records ever made. This is the world's largest chicken egg. It was found in 1956 in the town of Concon, Texas. It weighed in at 3 pounds and 4 ounces, which is heavier than some babies. This means that if you broke the shell and cooked the egg, you could feed a small family. It must have taken a giant chicken to lay such a large egg, but does anyone know where it came from? Sadly, no. The person who found the egg, Mrs. W.S. Thomas, unfortunately threw the egg away before anyone could examine it properly. So we don't know what kind of chicken laid it or what its DNA could tell us. It's a real shame. But moving on, let's take a look at the world's largest apple. We don't know exactly how big it was, but we do know how heavy it was. The world's heaviest apple weighed in at 7 pounds, 1 ounce. It was grown by Stephen and Stephanie Post, and although it looks pretty ordinary, it's definitely pretty special. Who knows? Maybe someday someone will grow an apple that weighs even more. I know apples can grow quite big, but 7 pounds, 1 ounce is really pushing it. If you were to slice this apple open, it would probably feed an entire family. But you can also eat the skin of an apple, so you could probably feed 2 families. Now that I think about it, apples can be super versatile, but I bet the largest apple ever recorded wasn't very tasty. After all, it was picked in Washington state. Washington apples aren't known for being sweet. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with the weather, but I do know that you can buy Washington apples online. Just search Washington apples on Google and you'll be able to buy some for yourself. Next, let's look at the biggest pumpkin ever recorded. If you thought the heaviest pumpkin ever recorded was going to be bigger than this, you're wrong. It weighs in at a mind-blowing 2,700 pounds. The heaviest pumpkin was grown by Stefano Crutropi. It took him 3 years to grow the massive fruit, and I don't know how he managed to get it off his farm. I bet the government showed up and confiscated it. This pumpkin was so big that it could probably be used as a giant boat. I mean, look at the size difference between the pumpkin and the people in the picture. I bet that when Cucurbita Pepo first started growing pumpkins, he never thought they'd get this big. And who knows, maybe one day someone will grow a pumpkin that weighs even more. I mean, it seems impossible, but Cucurbita Pepo did it. So anything's possible. Now, let's move on to something really weird. Have you ever seen a purple cauliflower? Probably not. Cauliflowers are normally white, right? Well, the world's largest purple cauliflower weighed in at 21 pounds 6 ounces. It was grown by Toru Miyazaki and it's a sight to behold. Purple cauliflower is actually pretty rare. It comes from a specific variety of cauliflower that grows in Japan. The cauliflower has a slightly different taste and texture compared to regular cauliflower, but it's definitely worth trying. Now, since we're on the topic of vegetables, let's take a look at the longest vegetable garden. The longest vegetable garden ever recorded stretched for over 20 miles. It was planted by Subhash and Shaba Mathur, and I don't know how long it took them to plant all those vegetables. I bet it was quite difficult to maintain, but hey, at least they had enough food to last them forever. Unfortunately, Guinness World Records no longer recognizes the record, though, because it's apparently not verifiable. But I'm sure there are other vegetable gardens that stretch for miles and miles. I mean, who doesn't love vegetables? And speaking of vegetables, let's now take a look at the heaviest tomato ever recorded. As you can see, the tomato weighs in at a whopping 7 pounds. This huge fruit was grown by Alan and Linda Boyle. I bet this tomato tasted incredible. Tomatoes are usually pretty small, so seeing one this big is really something else. I don't know how many people it would take to lift this tomato, but I'm guessing it would take more than one. How many people do you think it would take? Maybe 5, 10? Let me know your thoughts below. If you guessed 100, you'd be correct. Moving on, let's take a look at the heaviest squash ever recorded. You may think this fruit is a pumpkin, but it's actually a banana squash. It weighs in at 1,590 pounds and was grown by Matt Gibson. I don't know how he lifted it off the ground, but I'm guessing it took a team of oxen to help him. Banana squash are actually pretty rare and hard to find. They normally weigh a lot less than 1,590 pounds, but this is definitely one of the wildest food records ever made. And finally, we have to look at the tallest sunflower ever recorded. Most sunflowers are pretty small, but the tallest sunflower ever recorded grew to a crazy height of 30 feet. It was planted by Hans-Peter Schneeberger in Germany. I bet he had the best view in town. It must have taken months for the sunflower to grow that tall. I wonder how it handled windy days. Did it fall over? Hopefully not. But now it's time for you to make your voice heard. Comment below which of these food records was the craziest. If you want to see short videos, then check out the Shorts channel. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you haven't already, then what are you waiting for? Subscribe to the channel.